So when was the last time you watched Justice League?
Actually, I watched it last week.
Did you?
Yeah, I actually watched it.
Did you really?
Last week for the first time.
For the first time?
First time I watched it. 2 weeks ago. Last week or 2 weeks. It was. I was on. I was doing shit around the house. I was like, I'm just throw this on. And I sat and watched it. Oh boy.
Back at it again, like we never left. Coke and Dank, Dank and Coke. It's the Lethal Weapons.
So we're doing something a little different now. This doesn't feel right.
Does it?
It doesn't feel right.
You need a Hey Dank.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Hey Dank.
Hey Coke.
What's the difference between Iron Man and Iron Woman?
It's gonna be about like household chores, isn't it?
Iron Man is a superhero. Iron Woman is a command.
Even though it's not good.
You caught that. I was like,
How wouldn't it be?
I thought you were decent.
This is not our first time around the block.
No.
I've heard a few of your jokes, sir.
I had to get that in. I know today's a special episode, but I had to get a little stupidness in.
We don't know how long we're gonna go, but we're pretty sure it's gonna go long.
Buckle up. Could be a while. Could be shorter than we think.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. If you could spend 3 hours watching an amazing movie, you can spend watching, listening to.
So this is our first, possibly our only, because we didn't make this podcast for reviews, but we sprinkle them in once in a while with the bottle cap reviews. This is actually going to be.
This is a keg.
This is a kegger.
Yeah, you get a kegger this year.
And I know you guys haven't seen any bottle cap reviews yet, but they're coming. I just realized we haven't posted any yet.
We've recorded
We recorded
bunch.
a bunch, yeah. So,
but a bottle is a single serving.
Yeah, this is a kegger.
So get the party together because we're going in.
So non-spoilers first.
If you hadn't known, we're talking about Justice League.
Yeah.
Because that movie needs more dissection and love.
It was just so.
Then save it. I would save it.
It was just so.
I would save it. If you want to hear us talk about Justice League, let us know in whatever comment or
how did it just
survey
be so boring? Like, it's Justice League. Anyways.
And
I was just mad.
They've already recast half of that.
I was just mad at the fact that I was like,
half of the cast is gone.
Why was this? Anyways,
and the prophecy is real. If you save Lois Lane, you save Superman. Yeah. Now that's forward thinking. Okay. If there's anything we know about Justice League, they know how to plan in the future.
So we really are talking about the phenomenon of Avengers Endgame.
Endgame.
Okay.
The fourth installment of the Avengers franchise, the 22nd movie.
We'll start with in
11 years.
It is 22nd, right? It's not 23rd. It's 22nd.
Could be. It's either 22 or 23, but just say that out loud. Of
how many
a franchise
connected movies
that could go 23 movies and 11 years. And we're not talking Bond.
I was just say how many is James Bond at?
They're up there, but they're not connected at all. There's no cohesion.
Except for Moneypenny.
Nobody. She the like M is kind of connected. The cars are connected. That's it.
So we'll start with our spoiler-free review.
The movie.
Did you like the movie?
It was a great movie.
I like the movie too. Okay, spoiler time.
Spoilers.
Okay,
jump. We didn't tell them to jump to the time code. We're
I always time code these things. I don't know why, but for Chaz.
Oh, Chaz loves it.
And
those we have 4 Czech Republican fans now.
Yeah, one in Mexico.
Well, how's he from Czech Republic if he's in Mexico?
No, we have another one from Mexico.
Oh, we have a fan in Mexico. Yeah. You got to finish the full sentence.
Or a guy who listened once.
I'll take it at this rate.
But, yeah, okay. that was spoiler free. Now we're full in spoilers. Just like
So in 23, 22 movies, I wish we figured out that one little stat that's going to irk me later on. But in 11 years, maybe the one complaint that Marvel movies haven't been able to address correctly is they never know when to let a heartfelt moment be heartfelt, and they never know when to let a humorous moment kind of just be humor or pull back.
Yeah.
They'll either give you the completely funny movie or the should be a heartfelt scene, but they undercut it with something that's funny, and you're like, well, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel on this, even if I laugh. This movie seemed to ride that fence to a perfect blend.
Which is funny because this movie is not only an epic, but it's also a time travel movie. So it's almost like a 2-in-1 already. So you're talking about...
And it's a sequel.
Yeah.
It's a direct sequel off of another 2-hour movie.
2.5.
Yeah, that maybe won't get as much love, but without that movie, you couldn't have this movie.
No, you couldn't.
It was a great lead-in, but we're talking about the Endgame here. Because you saw the Endgame, we saw the Endgame. And my God, the amount of heartstrings pulled while still giving me enough time to laugh and breathe between the tense moments and they can't pull this off, can they? And then the fact that they're like, fuck it, we're just going to do a time travel movie. Because that in itself has its own set of balls.
Yeah, and they do have, they definitely have their own rules for this. I'm not a big fan of time travel movies in general. I don't hate them. It's not my favorite trope. But these guys have their own set of rules, which is cool.
Listen,
fine, it works for them, I guess.
And I'll have to stress it again. It's not just a time travel movie.
Nope.
It's a time travel epic sequel for comic books.
Yeah.
So none of those belong together in any capacity that I've ever seen in film
on the big screen
before.
Yeah.
And these guys managed. We don't know the numbers yet, but expect 2 billion.
It hit $1 billion in like 5 days, right?
That's pre-sales.
That's
and they're still hitting pre-sale
bonkers.
tickets, right? Like I can find a single seat up front, but I can't take a friend.
No, yeah, even still, eh?
Yeah, it's hard unless you want to be looking directly up at the screen, and only at specific characters. We'll get into that. So
you think they get the balance of humor and
heart, especially considering where they're coming from, right?
And I think the length. I know it was daunting. You know, okay. Let me just say one thing first. Sure. The whole fucking fiasco about like, oh, it's a 3-hour movie. I'm not gonna make it. This is not the first 3-hour movie in existence. I don't know where all that was coming from.
It's really that
like Lord of the Rings are pretty.
It's people want to eat popcorn and drink sodas and then go use the washroom.
But nobody ever said anything about those movies. Like you've never seen Godfather, you've never seen Goodfellas.
Yeah, but I left in the middle of Godfather to go take a leak. I left in the middle of Jurassic Park to go take a leak.
Okay. Well,
Lord of the Rings, I took several dumps. Hobbit, it was a dump. So okay. This one, I've never seen so many people glued to their seat. I didn't drink anything before.
No, God, no.
Yeah,
I didn't drink.
Going in, I was like, I can't miss a single fucking frame. That in itself is its own fucking legend.
I had to pee.
Haha.
40 minutes into it. I didn't, but because I didn't drink anything, it never got worse. Okay. It just kind of stayed. It just kind of plateaued.
Just that numbing of like the first second I can.
So for like over 2 hours, I was like, I gotta pee. Not badly, but I have to pee.
That's annoying though.
A little bit.
That might pull you out. What definitely pulled me in, it was so we're talking about how this sequel is 2 movies, maybe 3 movies in itself. The first kind of 15 minutes is just catching everybody else to where the gang is right now, this pseudo Avengers team, and them finding Thanos as soon as possible
right off the bat
to exact as much revenge as possible. They do that, and we don't know, like them, where to go from here. So they complete what they think their mission is, to kill Thanos. He's dead. Now what?
Now they pick up the pieces.
What's amazing in this movie, they go from that moment to 5 fucking years later.
Yeah.
Of nothing getting to change.
Yeah.
So if you ever felt like a failure as a hero before, wait 5 years into the future. And that's where you get the breakdown of each character. So we broke down how we saw each character in a stage of grief. Because they're still all dealing with the fallout. And each of them are at a different stage of grief, right? Thanks to Ant-Man coming in, thanks to that lone rat, comes back to this reality, not knowing anything.
Which was fucking dumb. I'm sorry.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
You need some sort of... how you going to pop him out?
It was fine. I'm just throwing that out right now. It was like...
You would have loved it if it was Splinter doing it.
Probably, but it wasn't.
But Ant-Man is we say that he's in denial stage.
Right.
He really hasn't come to quips of what happened with Thanos, let alone the 5 years later after the snap and why everybody's missing. He has no idea what's going on, so he's in denial and really leads the charge to fix this as best as possible, because he's the one with the assumption idea of time traveling to save everybody.
Yeah, he comes out because imagine him being in a space for 5 hours. Right. He comes out and the world is completely upside down, right? And it's
different.
Like, what?
And I don't know if we stressed that enough. Like, for him, it was just 5 hours.
That's it.
For everyone else, it was 5 years and an epic
fight.
Yeah, where they lost the fate of the human race.
Yeah.
Of life form, right?
Universe.
Across the universe, yeah. That comes up, too. I don't even put hair in there.
But yeah, he's coming out like, what in the shit? Like, you think coming out of like the drunk tank is bad, or like, passing out somewhere in college campus and waking up in a place that's not yours.
Right.
This is like multiply that by I'm a universe.
That's the multiplication that you're
I was like,
I need a number big enough.
I didn't stall there at all.
So Ant-Man denial.
Oh, I should have said 3,000. Damn it.
Could have. Didn't.
I fucked up.
That's a good reference.
Yeah.
We'll bring that back later. The second stage of grief is bargaining. So we believe that Professor Hulk, first of all, Professor Hulk is definitely in a bargaining stage.
Did you see this coming? Him being smart Hulk? Okay, I didn't either. Okay.
No, and it's so amazing because we've seen Hulk in kind of every incarnation, either weak Bruce Banner or aggressively super angry Hulk, which we also get to see in this movie. We'll touch on that later. But the bargaining of the fallout from Bruce Banner not winning the war against Thanos was to trap himself in his lab for 18 months and figure out that Hulk isn't a disease, he's a blessing, and how to marry the two.
Yeah, and then he makes amends with
so he comes out as the best of both worlds, right? Which is great. And leads to obviously fun kind of outcomes with him now understanding his power and who he is as Big Green Mean or Big Mean Green.
Big Mean Green.
Both work.
Yeah. And he seems happy too, which is weird.
He seems at peace.
At peace.
At peace. He found the balance between the two. He's always been yin versus yang, and now he's like, okay, we've married the two. I get the complete circle.
Now he's got groupies.
He does. He's taking selfies, eating huge meals, and can articulate that he doesn't like taking stairs. The other one that's also bargaining, we said, was Captain America, who led the charge in the fight, but has come to the realization that
he's accepted that he failed. Like, they all failed. But he's still trying to help others
the best way he can. Right, so he started a support group, funny enough, to talk about what we have to do moving forward. The utmost class and always trying to be the beacon of light, even though this is the darkest that all the characters and I guess the universe have ever been in. If you keep going down the stages of grief, we get into anger. I'm gonna list Rocket Raccoon here because he's kind of always had a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, he's hard to read, but he's a snarky son of a bitch. And
this is the first time where he doesn't have his surrogate family, which are the Guardians.
And he mentions that too. He's like, I've lost everybody.
And with Rocket, it's always right beneath the surface. So he has his smarky comments, but you can tell there's a little more anger and hurt to this time because he doesn't have anyone to lean on, especially Groot, which is really his only family.
His homeboy,
who knows him for the longest, right? And we also put Hawkeye or Ronan in this because he went on a fucking...
Yeah, he's the angriest guy in the...
He went on a murder spree from the cartels in Mexico
and his whole
to
MO,
Yakuza in Japan.
Yeah, his whole MO was like, Thanos didn't get rid of you, so I will.
Correct. very, very easy motivation. I could have watched a whole movie of just this.
Yeah, no kidding.
We'll get into references and how this is close to the Thunderbolts that I want. But if we're moving down the stage of grief, we're at depression. And very much so, we can see it in Scarlet...
Black Widow.
Yeah,
I say Scarlett Johansson.
She did such a she did such an amazing job in this movie that I had to say her real name. Black Widow. I wrote Scarlet, but fair enough. Romanoff.
Yeah. She was great. She was really good.
But you could see the depression. Every interaction that she's having with Avengers moving forward, you can still see the hurt of like, this isn't enough. We need to be doing more. What can we do
she kind of becomes the new Nick Fury in a way.
She's running the team because Cap kind of checked out and tried to live a normal life with the people, but she's still living in Avengers headquarters, running shit. To the best of abilities.
Check on this, check on that earthquake, crying
over peanut butter sandwiches.
Depression
definitely hit her, and as well did Thor, which hit him physically, as he buried himself in New Asgard with pints of beer and just a gut worth of, to the point that you can't even bring up the name Thanos anymore. It visibly makes him upset.
He freaks out,
because he feels he failed as well. Like he has that whole like, I should aim for the head. You should aim for the head. When the villain tells you should have aimed for the head, and it's too late, you're gonna keep remembering, I should aim for the head. I should have aimed for the head. I should have. But his depression definitely manifests in eating and drinking whatever, and his body just going to shit. So I
wasn't expecting that either.
No, we talk about depression, but we talk about how much they were able to carry this heartfelt and still hilarious moment, because a lot of Thor's moments were so funny.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. We're just getting started. And then if we go into acceptance, I had to write her name in last because I completely forgot.
That's right. There are a few characters that have kind of moved past all the really negative emotions, and just and have kind of, you know what, this is our reality now.
Stepped up to what we have to do now.
It sucks.
War Machine is one of them.
Absolutely.
He's
absolutely,
off. Yeah. He was chasing Hawkeye to kind of track down what he's been doing, and he's been giving reports. So like he's carrying on with a job as War Machine. We can say the same for Nebula.
And you know, War Machine's role in this is pretty cool too, because he's a character that could have easily derailed. No, he's a character that could have easily kind of just
pushed to the side.
But he
carried his own
actor,
and you definitely, War Machine really shines when the whole team is together and they get to play off each other. You get to see who Rhodey is. And that's really what you really want from the.
But I was glad to see that Rhodey was actually a part of the team throughout everything, not just this movie but past movies too. But
say that, I say the same thing with Nebula, who seemed to accept her death when she was in the ship with Iron Man,
and she's still essentially a newer character to the movie universe, so it's cool to see her open up,
her step up, and just at this given point in the movie just understands, because she's the one that kind of gives the information that they can find they can find Thanos at this planet.
This is his spot.
Her father has always talked about, in the end, this is where I'm going, right? She accepts that this is what it is, this is who he is, this is where we are, let's move on. We can say the same about Captain Marvel, who was never really a part of the fight. She was handling shit in other places, so her level of grief isn't as strong, but she accepts who she is, and she knows here's where the world is. If I can help, I'm gonna help. And she's one of the Avengers that has taken off into the universe to help assisting planets. There's a funny moment where Rocket's like, where were you, like, and she's like, there's other planets that are doing this. Like,
the exact same thing.
You're right. So you get Rocket even moving up to acceptance out of anger in that moment, where he's just like, I can't really internalize this and talk about just here.
Good point.
So much shit going on. And then the last obviously is Iron Man with several reasons.
But when we see him, he gets to the acceptance stage while we're watching it.
Right.
Like, he doesn't start like that. He starts out just,
well, you can argue, because his acceptance in death, you get that on the ship as he's recording his last message.
Right, fair enough.
Then he gets back to the planet, and then he kind of relives. He
rages a bit.
But he relives the full stages of, because he goes through bargaining on the ship. Then he goes into, he starts off with denial. He goes into bargaining. Then when he gets back to the Team Avengers, he's angry. And then the old man, he's super depressed. And then he's acceptant as he starts a family 5 years later, moves off to a farmland with Pepper Potts and his new little girl Morgan. He in the grand scheme of things, he's probably the luckiest out of all the remaining heroes, because he actually was able to start a new life. A better life than what he previously had. He's the only one that's living kind of larger.
So it's
considering.
So it's interesting how when push came to shove, like he had no reason to really help out in this movie, and except for the fact that his morals drive him to, right? That, and
it's kind of, he's the linchpin of the reason all of this started.
Okay, fair enough.
He's the inception. He was the first one. He is Iron Man. We'll get to that later. But
that's great. Okay, go ahead.
We'll get to that later, man. If we're talking about individual characters at this 5-year junction, we have to be talking about the big three.
Yes.
Because these are the ones that you are caring the most about in the movie, and that carry the most load. And kind of,
as they should since this is the finale of what they built, right?
These are the only 3 characters that have 3 movies to this, in addition to being in an additional 3 movies, so they have 4 under their belts, plus any cameo references.
Plus, it goes back to the fight in the woods with the
big 3.
The big 3, right? It goes circles all the way at the first Avengers. Yeah.
This is the
pillars. They've been the pillars for this whole phase.
To coin a phrase, this is your holy trinity.
Yep.
We've never heard that in comic before.
No, never. You just invented that. That was good.
I claim to fame this right now.
That was a great invention.
The reason we're talking about the big 3 is because we want to really highlight what makes them worthy to be a big 3. And they've had several moments throughout, obviously, these 11 years. But in this movie specifically, each of these guys does so much to make you, either to draw your attention, because maybe you weren't a fan of one of, or two of, or maybe all 3 of these guys, but after this flick, there's no reason that you can't say anything good.
No.
I can say bad things about a few of them, but that's...
We'll
get there later. But all of these guys really carried their weight and proved why they are Avengers.
This movie universe, this MCU actually made me a bigger fan of Thor.
Instantly.
Like, Iron Man's always been my guy.
Right.
Before the movie started, he's always been my guy. Captain America's always been well respected because he's Captain America. But the movies, the way they presented these 3 characters really did them justice. Like, it was just like...
Right.
They added layers to Thor that I never really read in the comics, right? Well, Captain America is basically ripped from the comic pages, but the way he's presented is just, I don't know, man. Like, I'm a bigger fan of those 2 characters now than I ever was before.
Yeah, they definitely have shown depth throughout their run, but in this movie alone, let's just start with Thor since you already tackled him. His obvious depression is such a character change from anything you've seen in the comic.
Because he's always been so able, right?
And jovial and light and kind of I'm always worthy, so I can always
it reminded me
pass through any sort of obstacle.
Yeah, initially when you first meet him, he reminded me of young Thor. There's stories where they explore young Thor before he's actually given, the title of. Before he's given a lot of responsibility,
right?
And he's reckless like that, and he's silly, but. When they opened up, they peeled back the layers, and you kind of get how he's actually still afraid of Thanos.
Yes,
that's different. Like that's unique to the MCU. I thought that was. Really
I think he's
cool.
Also afraid of his mortality too, right? Like there's definitely a moment of.
Not only did he screw up, but he screwed up so grand scale that half the universe is gone.
And something that they don't really mention, but prevalent in this movie, Thor's a functioning alcoholic. Legit.
Yeah.
Because in every movie, he's always talking about, you need to drink more mead and bottles of wine, and we must celebrate. And everyone's like, you're the man. You can do this because you've always shown up. But this is the one time where he didn't show up. He just goes completely the other end and falls in a downward spiral. So his kind of worthy moment definitely comes when he gets to face his demon, going back to Thor 2, The Dark World, and he gets a face-to-face moment with the one... Kind of the trigger effect where everything kind of went wrong with him was when he lost his mother in that movie.
And he never got to say goodbye.
He never got any sort of closure in that world and in that movie, because that movie is its own kind of crab in the barrel.
Crap in the barrel?
It's a crap, and I'm trying to upscale it because this movie is so great and redeemed. A bad movie.
One of the only movies I thought they'd never revisit. And
is Thor 2, and
here they are.
Up front, they're like, we have to go back to Thor 2 to get the ether. First of all, you guys keep calling it a gem. It's more of a liquid. You can't really define it as a gem. Like, he has these funny moments as they're explaining this time heist, where essentially they have to go back to specific moments in time to get the Infinity Gems before they fall into the wrong hands.
So there's Infinity Stones in the MCU.
Fair enough. Again, it's not a stone at all. You guys keep calling it. It's more of a liquid. So his whole breakthrough is he has to go back to the moment in time where his mother dies, and his girlfriend that he's dating at the time put her hand in a wall and ended up with the which one is it? The power? No. It's the ether. Yeah. But what is it? What's red?
Power is purple. I don't remember what red was.
We're so prepared for this. You should see how many notes we have.
So many notes. Didn't write the stones.
Soul, time,
Time
space.
is green. Power is purple. Space is blue.
Time.
Mine is yellow. No, time is green.
Right. Isn't it like reality?
There.
So he goes, which is fitting. He has to go back and face a different reality, now looking like a different man. So he has this very heartfelt moment with his mom where he just talks about who he is, who he was supposed to be, and why she just forgives him and says, don't be what you're not wanting to be. Be who you want to be.
You think how she picked out right away? It wasn't even him.
Yeah, you look different. He's like, this is my favorite sweater. I mean, like he's supposed to be wearing garbs and robes. It's like
I was raised by witches.
Yeah, I have a third eye.
I know what's up.
I know what's up. So while this is going on, Rocket is running around. Also,
get the rabbit.
Trying to get the ether from Natalie Portman, Jane Foster. But Thor has this very heartfelt moment with his mother that you didn't think he was going to get.
And kick it. He gets to sit and kick it with her.
And just talk about life, which is what you really want from your mom or a parent, right? It's just like, can I be real with you? He hasn't got to be real with anyone up until this point. And another moment that makes himself worthy is even in his depression and crying state, because he cries a lot in this movie, which is hilarious and like very heartfelt. Again, they ride that line very well, where he reaches out for his hammer and just needs to feel that he is still worthy. And because we forget his last movie that was all Thor, he lost his hammer and felt he was not worthy.
Yeah.
He had to birth a new hammer in Avengers, so he's gone a long time without things that make him feel whole. But definitely has proven that he's worthy. We won't talk about the final scene, but this is, the big fight.
Oh, you don't want to talk about? Okay.
Not yet.
When he got the hammer too from the Dark World universe,
right?
I was like, that's... And then I'm like, how is he going to...
And then he does.
And then he does. How's he going to take that with him? And he does. But anyways.
Well, Hawkeye proves that you can take stuff back, as he's the first one to time travel test and takes the glove from his son.
The glove, right. Yeah.
So they already addressed that you can take anything back from the time.
Yeah, we don't want to get really into the rules.
We're not. We're moving on to who else is worthy in the big three. We're going to Captain America. This man has had like 4 or 5 speeches in this movie where... to the point that Rocket's like, oh, he really knows how to make a good speech. He just fucking gets it and knows how to charge up a crowd, because you could feel that the crowd was like, yeah, I'm buying into everything this man is saying.
It's Captain America, for one thing.
His undying will to succeed is unfathomable and unfazable.
It's uplifting. It makes you believe. It's like, man, this is
And if you didn't think he was worthy enough, he has a moment, we'll get to it later on, where he gets to pick up the one thing that would make you worthy.
Direct from the comics, dude.
Direct from a previous movie.
Which was fucking cool. Yeah, they teased it in a previous movie. Like the plants and the seeds... The seeds and the
that turn into plants.
Ideas. Yeah. I was trying to say planted ideas, and then I was like, no, seeds. That they've put over in the course of the MCU. Some on purpose, some just... happenstance, like, okay, let's grow from this one, because remember they did this, is incredible,
and then
it's crazy,
and things that they could erase, like Thor 2.
Yeah, they made it a better movie.
It's infinitely better now that you know what happens behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously to shore up this big three, we got to go with Rocket Raccoon.
Yes, that is the third.
Iron Man, Tony Stark's,
who has a great arc. They all have great arcs, but his was probably the most surprising to me.
The most complete, if you see where he started from the beginning. Like Captain America stayed on point, on message, morality from the beginning to the end, and that's why he's kind of Captain America. Thor has had a rough middle and a strong end, but the beginning was kind of a climb. The beginning was a single note.
Yeah,
we knew who he was, and then some rough shit happened. He's like, okay, I have to react to this now, and he's. Iron Man from the beginning was basically a douchebag genius, a billionaire philanthropist that I like to throw my money around and create. We forget he was a warmonger in itself. Like he was selling weapons of mass destruction. Yeah. Like the Stark name has built bombs. To now that he's, I don't want to get into his whole, because he has a whole fucking A to Z. But just talking about how he solved the time travel theory. That initially started with Ant-Man's, like, we can go back, and everyone's like, can we? And trouble ensues, and they test it out with Banner, who's not as smart in this regard. But Tony sits down and kind of solves the time travel.
Yeah, they've really made in the movie universe, they really made him like a
he's all
jack of all trades.
Yeah, he's
type
all encompassing.
Because it's like,
he was building the ship he was building
right, but he's mechanical, right?
Right, but like. It's an alien ship.
Fair enough, yeah.
It's not like his technology's catching up to that, but let's assume that Guardians of the Galaxy have.
Although to be fair, Hulk figures out time travel as well, just not perfectly.
He's
right?
missing something out of it. Right? Again, these are the smartest minds.
Yeah, but he excels in gamma radiation
Correct.
studies and shit like that. And he's solving fucking time travel.
He's doing it for all intents and purposes. He's doing a good job based on what he had to deal with. But Tony kind of solves the loop of like, it out. You're not supposed to be sending time through person. You're supposed to be sending people through time.
Yeah. Easy mistake to make.
That, and the other thing that makes him worthy is he's one of only 3 people in this franchise to wear and wield the gauntlet.
Yes.
Which is a lot of power for one man, woman, or child.
I did think it was cool. I did think it was cool that they made the gauntlet like a weapon of mass destruction. Like it was like when you used it,
right?
It fucked you up too.
Yes.
Like it wasn't just like in the comics where you use it and
then everything's cool.
It's fine. There's
a cost.
There's a cost.
There's a price. Which is
that was cool. I thought that was cool. Because not everybody would be like, I'm going to throw this on and wish for this.
Well, that was one of the whole,
yeah,
not arcs, but scenes, events in the movie where they finally complete it. They retrieve, so we're jumping all over the place. They retrieve all the stones and start to assemble them on, which is kind of foreshadowing. They put it on an Iron Man suit.
Yeah, on a glove. Yeah.
On a glove, right? So you, thinking ahead, there's only 3 people that have ever worn this suit. 4, but we'll get to that. And that's Tony, Rhodey, and Banner.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that Banner is one of the first people to actually.
Well, he's the biggest guy too. Right?
Take the snap, so but
the gamma in him.
We'll get to that. Because we have a whole thing for the end of the movie. But this is one of the reasons why it makes Tony one of the worthy 3. I also have arguments that we can make for a couple other characters who will not be the 3, but definitely need a shout out, right? So I wrote Incredible Hulk Banner. He solved one of the greatest problems of his life. His own. Let alone the
duality.
The team's problem, right? He figured out how to be Professor Hulk. That's huge. That definitely makes you worthy somewhere. Maybe not make you top 3, but fucking A. If you can eat eggs and bacon along your friends in a diner without smashing everything, I think it's a good day for you. And he's the first one in this movie to wear and wield the gauntlet. He gets to make the first snap, which cost him, but he does it. And then Nebula, who overcame herself, which I feel is she had a huge character arc, even though it was kind of smaller in the 11-year span.
It was cool to see her get shine in this because, like we said earlier, she is a new character to the movies, relatively new.
Right.
And in the original, I know this isn't based on comics, Endgame isn't. It has comic references and moments and things like that. A lot of them, actually. But in the Infinity Wars comic, way back from the that age.
I'm with you.
She's a big player. People don't understand that she's actually a big player. Once Thanos gets his...
Well, she's a big player in Guardians comics, too. Just in general, yeah.
Right, but... yeah.
But for this
event of
event,
Infinity...
She's pivotal.
She's huge. Because he gets the gauntlet, does his thing...
Right.
And then she ends up taking it from him. And he ends up teaming up with the Avengers to take her down. So she's a big player in the comic book. So it was cool to see her shine and get her own arc. That made sense for the movies.
That and right? If I don't know how strong any of you are out there, the 12 of you, but if you have the power to shoot 6-year younger version of yourself, that's threatening your future, more power to you. Because I don't know if I could, but she does that. She masters.
Boom, done.
This is a dead version of myself now gone. Right. So it was literal and it was metaphorical. This change that she had. This kind of brings us into another thing we really loved about this movie. We're going to be saying that a lot, but there are a lot of these little moments of team ups between Avengers.
We love the mini team ups. Love the mini team ups.
If you haven't heard our team up episode, we love team ups. I think we got a lot of our wishes here.
The dream teams, yeah.
Because there were team ups that you weren't even expecting. Nope. Case in point, the first one on the list is Bruce and the Ancient One.
I did not think we'd like. It was cool to see her
or
him. Like she's supposed to be genderless in this, right? It doesn't matter. It was cool to see that because it was like, to see she. To see the Ancient One, it was cool. It was like, man, that was one of the earlier, like the earliest like cameos, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I was like, hey.
Yeah.
Hey, Tilda Swanson's here. Cool.
Well, this is how you capitalize on a time travel movie. You go back to your own movies,
and it makes sense that the Ancient One would be
they go back to
at that time and not be participating in the fight because
give context.
They're watching
they go back to the first Avengers,
2012,
during the what do they call it? The event.
Yeah, the
when the aliens
Battle of New York.
Battle of New York. and thinking that only Avengers are fighting. No. At the Sanctum Sanctorum, we have Ancient One on the roof just bodying Jabaris?
No.
Chitaris. There you go.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jabari.
Jabari.
You know I got you, bro. I told you I was gonna get you a shout outs. But then Bruce comes looking for a time.
I need that.
An Infinity Stone, and she's like, no.
Not gonna happen.
And that's the fun thing about Professor Hulk, because he comes in all knowing that he's big and green and strong, but tries to be all suave, and she's like, you don't know who I am, do you?
Bro, I will body you.
And literally separates man from body, and Hulk is useless again.
It just drops, and
it's back to Banner using his brain to be like, no, we need this.
And it just happens, like through the conversation, it just happens to reveal that he knows Strange, right? And it's like, oh.
Well,
in that case,
he literally asked for Strange. He's like, "I'm here to see Doctor Strange."
And it's cool how when he first meets her too, she's like, "You're 5 years too early."
Yeah,
it's like she already knew what was coming.
He's over there performing surgery, and points deep down into New York where he's living his life.
Which ties into the Doctor Strange movie, because like, how long? I want to see if she mentions she's been watching it. I don't remember. I'm sure she did, right? But anyways,
if this is not a movie that makes you want to go back to watch other movies, that's just one, right? The one. If we're sticking with Professor Hulk, him and Rocket team up to go find Thor. But the whole lead up for them teaming up is some of the like cutest, funnest, like little moments in the movie, because it's essentially Ant-Man outside eating tacos. And
that was one of the best moments in the movie, I thought. It was just like casual, like where they're just being themselves.
And it's
like,
so tonally about each character, who they are as
a
character. So the ship lands, it blows away his taco.
Because it was stuffed.
Yeah. Nebula's like, there's an idiot on the landing pad. Watch out, War Machine. War Machine lands, is like, hey there, puny man. Like, so still angry about him when he was Giant Man and flung him around.
Yeah.
So razzes him a little. Rocket's like, yo, we gotta go. And you see this very peaceful, serene Professor Hulk come with 2 tacos to offer back to Ant-Man as Rocket and Hulk go off on this adventure. Amazing.
That little like 2-minute scene is one of my favorite. I was like, this is so cool. I like when they're kind of just doing the thing.
You get so much about each character and how they interact with each other, which is all you want from Avengers. And then it takes you to the back of a ute where they're driving through New Asgard, to find a Hulk, but it looks like Shrek and Donkey in the back of a pickup, just like they're on a little adventure.
And it's funny because I'm like, they sent the 2 weirdest looking guys on the team.
But Asgard's all like, oh, we get weird because you open the door and there's Thor with another weird combination.
Meek and Korg.
Which, who didn't think, we all wanted to see back, but who thought we were going to get?
Korg's a big source of our love here. So
I thought you were going to say a big gamer because he's playing.
He's a big gamer, but we love Korg.
He's playing. I don't know if we can reference it because we don't want to pay them. But I'm surprised that 5 years later people are still playing that game. But Thor needed to step in. Well, I don't know. Do you play that game?
No.
Moving on.
We love seeing Korg, man. I was like, yes.
And makes us think that we're going to see Korg again.
Oh, of course.
But we'll get there. Thor and Rocket again have a great team up. And a lot of heartfelt moments as they travel back to Thor 2, Dark World.
That's right.
And when they initially get there, Thor is freaking out because he has...
he has like a panic attack.
He's never as unsure of himself as he currently is now. He's overweight. He doesn't fit in. He's missing... his eye looks weird. Yeah. And he remembers, like, he clicks in, this is the day my mom dies. And Rock's like, come here. Wow. Smacks him. It's like, yo, we got shit to do, right? Yeah. Essentially.
Buckle up.
But it's just a fun little... callback to Infinity Wars where they went off to go build a Stormbreaker.
Yep, Stormbreaker, yeah.
So you get that little dynamic again. Fucking amazing. Thor and Valkyrie. Valkyrie gets a little nod in here.
I like seeing her there. I was like, yes.
Yes, because it's New Asgard, and she's the last of the Valkyrie, which never got me. She's a Valkyrie, and her name is Valkyrie, or her name is Valkyrie, and she works for the team also named Valkyrie.
Yeah, anyway, her name, it's weird.
They have a nice little moment there, especially towards the end. Thor finally sees himself as a free man. He doesn't have to fulfill the wishes of the kingdom, and he's smart enough to know who should. And it's Queen Valkyrie. So he, I was going to say besmirches, but I don't know the royal term.
No, it's a good one. Besmirch is a good one.
Is it?
That's like a bad thing.
No, but it's a good thing. He's he's presenting her.
I wasn't listening.
Yeah, fair enough. He begoods her. Yeah. Be honors her. I don't know if there's a B thing. You let me know in the comments. He assigns her.
Yeah,
or
he awards her.
Blesses her.
Blesses her.
With
not besmirch.
Not
she
besmirch.
does not besmirch.
She besmirches him. No.
Teacher told me that one time. You dare besmirch me? He was a Scottish guy. Yeah.
That's your Scottish accent?
Because I was laughing. I was laughing in school because he said he saw Nessie. But anyways,
number 6.
Doesn't matter. So we talk about a lot of these guys are more or less strangers to each other, but we also get like some very friendly team ups too. Or like people that are familiar, right?
Yeah, callbacks
like
to
Widow and Hawkeye,
which is some of the best team ups and moments in this movie.
We know
between two characters.
They came up together. They haven't seen each other really in 5 years.
Yeah, and they always love to mention Budapest, which is
Budapest,
amazing.
Yeah, whatever that is. Yeah,
this is in Budapest. Like,
but she knows what he's been up to.
Yeah,
right, and War Machine, reports back to her and stuff.
Between them, there's a lot of unsaid, but there's great moments.
It's almost like understanding. It's like, bro, I know what you're doing. It's fucked up.
This is the
wish you wouldn't do it.
This is the actual brother and sister relationship.
These
are the two that aren't related but are related. They've spent so much time. They understand everything. Moving on, Cap and Widow also have a great moment early on the flick.
They're really good. Yeah, they're really like. They're really tight. They're really tight.
That's why we're giving so much shine to Scarlett Johansson, because she has a lot of
phenomenal in this movie.
While maybe she wasn't in a lot of action scenes, she had so many heartfelt scenes where character dealing with other characters, talking about shared pain and what they're each going through in this moment, that were just not eye-opening, but just like you were definitely focusing on who she is, like Black Widow.
She's come a long way from
just being an espionage spy who was
espionage sexy spy from Iron Man 2, right?
Hush secretary. Captain America and Iron Man.
Another one, man. The two
lovers.
The two should be lovers.
I think in an alternate timeline
they should be lovers.
They are brothers of the buttocks.
But they're the two characters that you really want to see, especially since that was good. Since
should have just let it slide, man.
Since Civil War, like you're like, come on, just make up, and then they do.
Well, it took how many movies for that to
happen?
It
took half of the universe to be
destroyed. And
they start out with an argument too, right? At the beginning of the movie, when Tony comes back.
They don't start off as friends. They're still resolving the unresolved, and it's only after a plea from Captain to Tony to be like, hey, they're still.
You weren't here.
I'm talking about when they go to his house. Yeah, fair enough. When Tony's angry, but just like there's a chance, and if there's a chance, we should take it. We're Avengers.
Yeah. Well, Iron Man and Ant-Man,
who have a great team up back in
New
York.
Cool. Yeah, really cool.
In the time heist, they have to team up to get the Tesseract, and I believe that the plan is really sound until it isn't. We're doing spoilers, so I mean we can go into it. But I just have here, I'm going inside of you now, which is a line that Ant-Man gives to Tony, because essentially he has to find a way into Iron Man 2012, where he had an arc reactor still in his chest, and that affected him.
Yeah, you could go inside and fuck with him, and that's what he did.
And almost killed him.
Oh yeah, for a distraction. Yeah, you're gonna give myself a mild cardiac arrest.
And Thor with, I don't even know if this is gonna work, and kind of gives him the defibrillator with the working hammer. And they're both like, wow, that worked.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was gonna work. That was a great moment, man. War Machine and Nebula.
That was cool too. It was a combination you never thought you'd see, and they're not familiar with each other. But
these are definitely strangers that are like, okay, we got paired together. Yeah, we got paired together, and really, their best moment is laughing,
watching Quill
being Quill,
dancing.
The one moment that we all thought was so charming and so engaging and like so fun in Guardian was the intro moment, and then you hear it from not his perspective. You're like,
it's terrible.
And the greatest line is like, so he's an idiot.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, all right, glad we're past that.
You understand you understand all three characters in that moment and why this is an unlikely team up that you fucking love now. And then the Temple of Doom, Power Stone, where he's like, oh, watch out, and he thinks it's Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
and she's like,
there's traps everywhere.
She's like, what's wrong with you? Like,
man.
Like all these people have not been to space, which I love that. There's a lot of again, they bring back the whole fish out of water. But they reverse it. All the fish that have been in water have not been in space.
And I'm sure a human being out there, like in the middle of fucking nowhere in some other galaxy, they probably watch too many movies.
Yeah.
We watch too many movies. So it's like, oh, this could do this, and this could do... Nah, man, it's not really how it works all the time. Nebula 2 gets a great team up with her sister.
Yeah.
Gamora.
So we get that interaction again, because they've been constantly building that through two Guardian movies.
Yep.
And here we get to see it on the other side, where they were as, because we never got a full scale of who they were as sisters with Thanos. We only got the fallout of who they were after Thanos, and this is them still working to get the stones.
And you get a flashback. Yeah, you get a flashback of them.
And how ruthless they are.
Right, but how they used to be.
Yeah, just trying to please their father, and still Gamora kind of being like, "Wait a minute."
And yet they both still want out.
Yes, but don't know how to do it.
But they don't know how to do it. Now we talk about the team ups and shit. Do you have like a one MV, like just one character who's like your MVP of the movie? Because I have one. I thought about it.
One character that I loved more than any other character?
It's just, I don't know, something about them just kind of...
Am I talking specifically this movie or
just this movie?
11 years in the making?
Because for me, I'll, like for...
Well, hold yours if I'm going to be surprised by yours. I'll give you my quick one.
Just like, man, this guy is just... Or this guy or this girl is like...
Well,
nailing it right now.
Fuck, and then it turns into 3. Just like that, it turned into 3. I know it
does. It's really hard to see past it all. I kind of picked one that I was the most... I don't know if the pleased is the right word. Entertained by, I guess.
Thor really entertained me.
Thor nailed it? Okay.
Really entertained me. But my big 3 are, like, that I was impressed with was Black Widow.
Yeah, she's up there, yeah.
And Hawkeye. Because Hawkeye went through a fucking range of emotions and shit.
Great arc.
And then in the end, he has, like, this whole alien moment where he's running from the... Like, he didn't get to fight the aliens, and then he gets this moment that leads... Anyway.
Because those two are up there, too, for me. But my one character that I love watching was Ant-Man.
Really?
I loved it. Yeah.
I was not going to predict that.
Because he came out... He was the only guy who wasn't around for the 5 years. He comes in, he's all like, what's going on here? And then he kind of throws... He kind of bounces around almost like a plot device. He comes in he has the genius idea to have it all start.
Correct. He wants the time heist.
And then he
calls it the time heist.
Yeah, the time heist. He goes...
And then even says Die Hard as a
So he brings us all to the table. Him coming out of the quantum realm. I know it was kind of cheesy the way he came out.
You got to bring him.
But he came out.
Right.
He starts it all. And then he kind of goes on the sidelines for a bit.
Right.
And goes back to his stupid ways or whatever.
Right.
And then...
Redeems himself again.
And then I remember in the final fight, we'll get to that later, but just seeing him in the fight,
the growth
got me so excited more than anything else.
And then
he's so big. I was like, yeah. He's like swatting this guy, crunching this guy like a bug. I just loved it. I loved it. He was my, as odd as it sounds,
it might be Hawkeye,
my MVP, which is great because he'd be like my number 2.
Yeah, Hawkeye might be it. I just really love Thor, like what Thor got to do. They put a fat suit on him. Like
I know.
This guy's renowned for his body and how good looking he is. And they just put him in a fat suit. You're like, this dude's the funniest guy ever.
Did not see that coming. There's a lot of characters you can see that. They
called him Lebowski.
I was really happy. I was really pleased with how important that man was to the actual story. Right. And then he was kind of out of it. And then he kind of came back in. And then I saw he shot Giant Man.
Even the point, well, like to your credit of saying like he joined the party last, he was kind of the audience member because everyone's just trying to catch up, and he's the one catching up to the point that Rocket's like, he says something about like, oh, so you mean it means this, and Rocket's like, yes, and pats him on the head. This is the time, like he's so. Like you're an idiot. Like pay attention here.
The taco scene we were talking about earlier.
That was great.
That's America's ass. That's America's ass.
I'm inside of you. Yeah, he does have a lot. He has a lot of good quips in this. I will give you that.
Right. I just enjoyed that.
So then let's talk more about the tie-ins.
And then him. Sorry, one more. And then him in 2012. He was the only one of the 4 that went that wasn't actually supposed to be. That wasn't there in 2012.
Oh, correct. He's a misplaced person.
Yeah, he's the misplaced person there. But the other 3
he would have been in jail.
Yeah, he'd been like, oh, what's going on? Like, this is pretty cool.
Completely. Yeah, he was looking around.
Anyways, he stood out a little bit.
Going back to that, because we're talking about Ant-Man and how great he plays off. One of my favorite tie-ins is when they're initially testing out the time travel experience, and I believe it's Hulk, Rocket, and Hawkeye testing it out, and then Rhodey and Ant-Man, and they're trying to figure, and I believe Nebula probably too, she's in the background. They're trying to figure out the rules of time travel, and Rhodey lists off all the time travel movies.
Oh yeah.
He's literally
like, I love that.
Back to the Future, Hot Tub Time Machine,
That was hilarious.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Star Trek, Summer in Time, Quantum Leap, Time Cop, The Terminator, and then fucking Ant-Man's like Die Hard. Oh wait, no, that's not one. So that for me, like I love time travel movies, so the fact that they're just rambling off, and then Professor Hulk straight to be like, no, none of those make sense. Yeah. Put those out of your way. So that was like a great movie for the audience.
You mean Back to the Future is bullshit?
Yes, it's total bullshit. And you love that. That was one of the first things you quoted to me.
Because I know you love it.
I fucking love that movie. That was amazing. But according to Avengers rules, The movie's bullshit.
Which was kind of cool. They went their own. I admire them for this is our time travel movie.
Right.
These are our rules.
Fair enough.
There's no like, because I'm so used to like, if you touch yourself from. That sounds so bad. if you interact,
I'm just gonna let you touch it.
If you touch yourself,
There you go.
From the fast,
sexy voice.
Yeah, if you touch yourself. No, but if you it's like if you come in contact with your past self, it's gonna cause like a
some sort
paradox
of
and things.
No,
fuck that.
We can do that.
No,
that can happen here. That's fine.
Yeah,
and that's what you need. You just need a line of dialogue to. Erase the mind of everybody else.
All you gotta do is say it, and it's like, okay, well, they're playing by their own rules.
We've already bought into 11 years of what you're telling me. Just tell me it again.
Let's roll with it. And Hulk seems to understand it, so
he does. He's a professor now. I'm not gonna dispute the man.
Yeah.
He's 10 times my size. Going back to things that they reference but we never really know. I think this is the third movie that they talk about. Budapest.
What the fuck is Budapest?
Which is great because it's just a little moment between them, and whether or not they give it to us, which I hope they kind of never do.
Never.
I hope they always bring up how fucking, because your imagination is 10 times better than what the story is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It could have just been them in a Chinese restaurant or a Budapest. I don't know why I said Chinese. A Budapest restaurant. Because it's always Chinese food, right? They're eating Chinese food. Just a restaurant could have been a simple thing, or like they had to put off a hit, bang, bang, bang.
It's a restaurant in Congo, yeah.
But whatever, it's not Budapest anymore, right? Thor 2, which is a crazy tie-in.
Like we said earlier, one of the only movies I thought they'd never go back to.
I think universally agreed as the worst Marvel movie.
It's up there, or it's down there rather, with like I think the Incredible Hulk. I think those are the two that
that's when you have to shoehorn in because of actors and not knowing what's going on. Yeah. But they managed to make that movie sufferable again, or at least give it more depth, which is what you want. There's another aspect to it.
And I've only seen The Dark World once.
I watched it again.
So I was like, oh, I don't remember all this, but I guess this happened. Like, okay.
Well, again, that's the genius of doing a time travel movie. You don't have to go directly to the action, but if you're adjacent from what's going on, like you get to be in the scene, but from a different perspective, which is exactly like Back to the Future 2. So the fact that they said it's bullshit and then copied so many things that they did in Back to the Future 2 isn't frustrating, but as a fan, I'm like, hold up.
Oh, hold on now.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Hold up.
New Asgard, that was great seeing.
That was really cool.
That is directly from the comic.
Yep.
I think it's actually a Norwegian country. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they brought Asgard to Earth, and it's floating. It floats above it.
But again,
but
if
still,
scaled down,
real
just
cool.
Just making that reference is amazing tie-in.
Real cool.
Do you want to spoil the end? It's not really spoiling. Man Steve. We get Old Man Steve. Like you ever thought you can get Old Man Steve Rogers?
Right from the comic. I know in the comics, I can't remember what villain it was. A villain basically siphons the superhuman serum from Steve, so he actually, his body goes, just it catches up with his actual age, and he becomes and he also becomes like the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. So
that, and then in House of M, he never gets the super soldier serum, so he's just a veteran. So he's the old fat man who's just like saluting on Veterans Day. That was cool to see. That was amazing.
That was
the fact that they went back to. So we already talked about Thor 2, but Avengers 1, Guardians of the Galaxy, Infinity War.
Actually, there's one that isn't written down there, but it's not only is it a tie-in to an old movie, but it's it's also right from the comics too. The elevator fight. So in 2012, when Cap gets into the elevator,
right?
You remember that?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, right from Winter Soldier.
I have that in my highlights, sir.
Oh, okay, that's why.
Yeah, I guess
it is a highlight.
But I didn't reference that's the movie that they go back to Winter Soldier. They don't, but that scene is set up from
Winter Soldier when he gets to the fight. I was like, oh, it's funny.
And we're all expecting.
When he got in there, I was like, oh, they're going to redo this fight? That's interesting.
Which I was all for.
No, and he fucking pulls out the Secret Empire thing, goes, Hydra. Which
and everyone just that was one of the.
Okay, here you go.
That was one of the moments in the audience. One of several moments where the fans were just like, yeah.
Yeah.
He did so smooth.
Because I didn't read Secret Empire, but I remember that moment.
Okay.
And I remember everybody freaking out that Cap was actually a Hydra agent.
Yeah.
And that's how it was revealed. He went.
Well, that moment leads into another moment that you get to see in the comics too, where depending on which comic you read, it's Captain America versus Captain America, and you're gonna face off.
Yeah, the old school ones. Yeah.
Considering that we had no shields
back from the 70s, guys.
Fair enough. Considering we had no shields in Infinity Wars, we got 4 shields in Endgame.
And also, you said the elevator was your highlight. This fight.
Hail Hydra was in my.
The Hail Hydra, yeah, because you love this fight. Ended up being one of my highlights because I was like,
it was great.
It was one of the things where you don't think you ever wanted it, but
And
when you see it, you're like, this is fucking great. And not only like I was rolling on the I was laughing.
Well, the growth in current day
and the
Steve Rogers to understand how to fight himself.
But not only that, but it was like, I can do this all day. Yeah,
he's like,
I know.
Get it, right? Yeah. So finally, he's tired of hearing the same thing that he said the whole time, right? You get that. And then when the obviously younger, and I guess a little stronger, right? They give a little nod to that.
More of a Boy Scout back then than he
right.
Yeah.
But all he has to say is Bucky is alive, and that's just enough for him to like, wait a minute, and then knocks him and puts the Mind Stone on him, right?
And that is America's ass.
And then references his own ass. See, that's a Tony move.
That is a Tony move.
So
that's
maybe
a great scene.
Maybe they're rubbing off on each other. I also really loved Hawkeye in the third act when the facility gets exploded. He gets sunken into like this lower chamber. The hallway's lit red. It feels like it's straight out of the Aliens movie because he shoots an arrow down there and you see it lights up and you see all the aliens and he has to grab the glove and he runs through. I love that.
That was a really cool scene.
Yeah, see, I wrote it right here. Cap versus Hydra versus himself. I could do this all day.
Yeah, it's not on mine, but
okay. Well, see, I got a better one. This is my card.
I could use. I actually it is there. I just skipped over it. Anyways, yeah, the I could use all. Yeah, I know that was like my favorite fucking line.
I know. Yeah,
I know.
Everyone's tired of hearing it to the point that he's tired of hearing it.
Okay, man, I got it. You nerd.
We skipped over in the beginning, but fucking when Thor slices his head and says aim for the head. Yeah. This time he aimed for the head. Yeah, he just clean cuts and us off. That was amazing.
Also, we I know you're talking about spoiling the ending, but
I mean, this is a spoiler episode. We're just trying to go in the order of the movie.
But the final words of Tony Stark, yes. And the death of Anthony Stark is nothing new. Iron Man 284, right? That he's died before when he had a central nervous system malfunction.
Right.
He faked his own death so he could figure it out. Yeah, he faked his own death.
What a guy.
Everybody thought he was dead, even Rhodey, and he froze himself basically, right. And so he could figure out a cure. Anyways, so that's something new. But his final words when he what was that? I'm inevitable.
Yes.
I am Iron Man. I was like, it's so corny. I know it's coming, but I fucking love it. I ate it up. And the fact that
they bookended it.
They bookended it from the first Iron Man, which
the first movie
was ad-lib.
Was it?
He threw that in there. That was in the script.
Good on him.
Robert Downey Jr. threw that in there, and now they
good on Favreau to let him keep it in.
I was just like, oh, I know it's coming. As soon as he had the gauntlet, I was like, I know exactly what he's gonna say, and they said it, and I loved it. I loved it. That was one of my favorite moments, just because I'm a huge Iron Man fan.
Yeah, we'll talk about it again. That's definitely a highlight because we'll talk about that whole third act of how much highlights were in it. But if we really want to talk about how great this movie is on understanding 11 years prior, it's all the A-listers that they got to come back to do little cameos throughout the movie.
And there's a lot of them.
There is a lot of them. Rene Russo comes back to play the mother.
Yeah, we've mentioned that just from the flashback to the Dark World, right? So
right.
That was cool to see, and then she also got a whole bunch of lines too, right? So I was like, oh, hey, like not only that, Robert Redford
playing the commander of Shield,
the
secretary of Shield. He's there to Taresek's mind, and he's trying to get both Infinity Stones because he still runs Shield, not them knowing that he's also a Hydra agent.
Now I don't know if it's just the amount of money these guys got, or it's they understand that they're part of something special. But to have all these cameos, I know we've only touched 2 of them, but it just popped in my head
right
now. Like to have all these cameos come back, and some of them are big names, some of them are kind of
and pay off what as a fan you really love to see because these are moments that you weren't expecting, let alone knew you wanted.
That's awesome.
Because we could have listed 20 things that we wanted of this final movie for Avengers, and it wouldn't have been, hey, can you do a callback to when Natalie Portman was playing Jane Foster?
Yeah.
Or when Tilda Swinton was playing the Ancient One? I mean, she was great in that movie, but who thought they were going to tie that back into this?
So it's just the fact, I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it's the money like they were just able to offer them, or the actors were like, you know what, this is something big, I want to be a part of it.
Disney's got you by the balls.
It was really cool.
They got some dirt on somebody. They even got Tom Hiddleston back, and
that's right.
Gave him a very easy way or a perfect way to start his TV series.
A very low-key way,
a very low-key way. He picks up a Tesseract.
Gone.
We don't know anything from there. Fair enough. We'll talk about it later, hopefully. John Slattery to play Slattery. to play Howard, to return his role as Howard Stark.
One of the two actors to play Howard Stark.
Correct.
Yeah. One of three actually. There was a third one. Anyways, but
and like a super earlier one.
Yeah,
He played it last in Civil War.
He seems to play it, mostly in the movies.
Haley Atwell, you get as Agent Carter. Sharon Carter's back.
She's been in we just have to shout her out for a second because she's been in so many
small
Marvel things, to tiny shorts, to little
one shots,
to little one that's the word, to little one shots, to cameos in this as an old woman in this,
right?
Little 3-second shot in this. Like, kudos to her for
it's not
doing all of
it's not about the role, it's about the actor, and she definitely
and she's good, and she doesn't ever like seem to phone it in either. She's kind of like, no, I'm here, I'm doing it.
Another person who's not phoning it in is Jarvis, James Darcy.
So I watched talking about Haley Atwell, I watched the Agent Carter series. The first season especially was really good, and they kept it nice. It was nice, like I think it was an 8-episode thing, right. So they kept it nice and contained. It wasn't one of these Netflix 13 things. It was a lot of fun. It was light. It was fun. It was good. It was
understood the time and the material.
Jarvis in it was
James Darcy.
James Darcy. To see him in here just for that second, I was like, this is cool, man.
And just hear the voice.
But there's the original voice, right? And there's the connection from the TV show to the movies. I think it was the first time. Other than when from the movies acknowledging the TV show, that was the first time.
And then the connection for the audience that Tony has to his father and the butler that he would have been growing up with.
That was amazing. A really fucking cool scene. You're talking about Thor with his mom, but Tony with his dad, like that conversation went on way longer than I expected to. Even though it's kind of weird that,
Well, that scene went on. That scene that I wasn't expecting went on longer than I thought it was, and we got so much wealth from both of two of the big three in that, Captain America and Iron Man.
Yeah, at the same time. And it was kind of weird that he sees him sitting next to like the Tesseract. It's like, oh, you new here?
What are you, a beatnik?
Yeah, what are you? You're not a beatnik, are you?
Are you Potts? He's holding sauerkraut and flowers.
Yeah,
and Tony just doesn't miss a beat. He's like, oh, well, that's some anniversary you're setting up for. Going back to the A-listers that they brought back for this, Frank Grillo returning as before he becomes Crossbones.
Yeah.
Agent of Hydra, as well as Maximiliano Hernandez. If I said it wrong, just remember I said Hernandez. He's also the agent that Rogers whispers Hail Hydra to, and understands like, oh yeah, he's with us now. Sweet.
You know, also cool too. Before we keep going on, to go back to the 1970s section,
right?
The classic Ant-Man helmet.
Well, that's the next name that I was going to list.
Oh, okay.
Michael Douglas,
who
they got back. The de-aging doesn't really work for him in this movie, but I'm glad to see him. He was a little rubbery. And
rubbery, yes.
And even Michelle Pfeiffer too doesn't say anything, but I'm glad she's there because she's definitely a part of the Ant-Man universe, let alone the MCU.
So was what's the general's name?
Thunderbolt Ross was there.
No, what's his real name?
Oh, William Hurt.
Yeah, William Hurt. There you go. Yeah, he was there.
We can say that. But I'm always gonna give a shout out to Michelle Pfeiffer. She was part of my childhood, and that black leather never did her wrong. Catwoman is still a fox to me.
Did you say Jon Favreau yet?
We didn't. I'm gonna save him last because obviously he gets to also bookend this. He has a nice moment with Tony's daughter at the end. We'll get to that
cute.
as well.
Yeah, that was cute.
He actually gets to speak.
Yeah.
And then obviously they found a way, but they gave Stan Lee another final cameo, and he with his Nuff Said license plate bumper sticker, and he's just flying through the 1970s.
Yeah, just driving around.
Yeah, with a handlebar mustache.
Couple broads.
Yeah, just living life. So you can't have this amount of star power in a movie if you don't know direction and can deal with all of these superpowers and super egos and just amount of people. Because there's a meme where they show every time they do a release or those fan Comic-Cons where they bring all the actors on stage, to see from Avengers 1 where it was like 12 people to Avengers 2 which was like 13 people.
I haven't seen that.
To like Infinity War where it was like entire stage, to like Endgame where it was like you couldn't tell the people's faces anymore because it was so far out.
Which is pretty.
Which is fucking amazing, right? You have to give more than enough credit to the Russo brothers who have done their share to help shape the fucking MCU.
And not just with this movie. Like they did Civil War, they did Winter Soldier, they did Infinity War, and now they've done Endgame, which is
all of those are epics in itself.
They're all great movies.
But to have the presence of mind to understand the characters that you're using, the references you need to make, and then the payoffs for the fans is just unfathomable. You literally need two brothers to do that because one man, like, you wonder why.
I wonder if that's the.
Well, you wonder why Joss Whedon isn't attached to this anymore. This is such a how do you take on something of this scope?
And I'm pretty convinced that the whole fiasco with Age of Ultron just pissed him right off. Like, it was like, you know what, I can't. This is
well, like, fans aren't great.
Yeah,
like,
no, they're not.
Especially passionate fans, right?
Passionate
fans are great. Let me take that back because we want fans. We're glad that 13 of you guys are listening to us. We hope to make it 15 at some point. But like passionate fans who like don't understand that there was a time when we weren't even getting this.
I know.
So the fact that we get this, it's okay to complain and not like things, but I think they buried him.
Also, yeah, they just destroyed him. But I will say this too, just
well, he ended up going over to DC. That's how much they like. You don't belong in Marvel. I was like, fine, I'll just go to the opposition.
Yeah. And I will say this too. I used to in the beginning, I used to go, oh, that's not like the comic books. That's not like the comic books. Like somewhere around, I want to say Iron Man 3.
Right.
I kind of gave up on that.
Yeah.
And I just, you know what?
This is not
These
a comic
movies
book. Yeah.
are their own universe.
It's not a comic book. If they reference
if you let that go,
it's amazing.
It's so much better.
Enjoy it for what it is, because I hope you remember a time, but I remember a time when all we were getting were cartoons.
Yeah.
And there was a time when my brother was only getting comic books.
Yeah.
And there was a time before that where, I don't know, like peep shows. So.
But yeah, just if
see how far we've come, the fact that we're getting it to this scope, and it's good, because there was a time when they were giving us more, like comic book movies, and they were terrible.
They were, yeah.
Go look up good. Original Fantastic Four, original Doctor Strange, and watch them sober. Yeah. Then watch them under the influence of something.
Or
and
back when
enjoy
Captain
them.
America was that old show.
That too, and then he had a motorbike. Oh my gosh! Like, yeah, we could have been stuck in that timeline, people. Keep that in mind. But again, that goes down to direction and how much these guys understand the material and understand to know how much to give, how much to hold back, and when to just let it all loose. And this is definitely let's give them everything.
How many? You had a clapping audience, right? I'm pretty sure everybody had a clapping audience. Yeah. How many claps?
I wasn't keeping count, but I was.
I noticed about 4 in mine.
Okay. 4
major ones.
There was, so a lot of them came for the third act reveal.
Yeah, that was It all happened. It all happened then. None of them happened before the fight.
No, there's definitely there weren't claps, but they're like the reveal of Professor Hulk. Amazing reaction.
Thor, Fat Thor.
Well, I was gonna say Cheese was Thor, but yes, that was amazing.
Yeah. He's not that fat. He's just got a gut. Like I wouldn't.
He looks like melted ice cream.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
It falls over.
It looked fake as hell, but it
does.
it was
but
funny.
It works when he turns to the side, and then he looks like.
Yeah, he's still ripped up here.
Yeah, up here's all good. And he does the thunder, and he brings it all together.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's clapping and really like woo. I think I got to cheer when Cap was smart enough to say "Hail Hydra." And not fucking
that
body
got
on those dudes.
That got a laugh, yeah.
It's like, I just like yes, like you're learning. Because an old Cap would have been like, I could do this all day.
Yeah, I can do this all day. Know. No, the biggest one for me, the biggest in the whole movie besides the ending was when Cap lifted the hammer.
That was great.
Right at a Fear Itself.
Of course.
Right at the Fear Itself count, but he fucking lifted it, and everyone's like, yeah, clapping and shit.
So out of comics, and then out of
I'm like, you fucking nerds. But I'm like, I'm going like this. I'm going like this.
And he's swinging it.
Yeah, then he goes, and I was like, oh, that's so cool.
It's so good. And straight from the movie too, Avengers 2, the one that gets panned. But there's that scene where like, elevator not worthy. That's a joke I kept making, and I was like, I guess elevator's worthy now, right?
Shout out to Joss Whedon.
Let's shout him out. Still going back to direction, I want to give credit to that Ronin one shot, because that Japan scene was one shot, one take.
Okay, yeah, good, yeah.
One roll, and that alone was a perfect trailer for me to watch a Hawkeye TV show.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna get, but if it's that dude running shit like that, I'm all in.
Yeah, because they can go different directions with Hawkeye. He's been in a lot of different iterations. And we like him in a lot of different iterations, but that one was something
great.
That was cool.
I don't know how you're gonna do it, but I love for him to pay off. We'll talk about that later. If he can pay off the Ronin character again. One more thing for the Russo brothers, they if you didn't know before this, they weren't always doing comic book movies. They're doing a lot of TV show, and one of my favorite shows they did is Community. They also paid off a lot of cameos to any fans of that show, or them just being fans of those characters. So. From Winter Soldier, you got Danny Pudi, who plays Abad. He was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Aaron Heimelstein He was in the debate episode. He was in the wheelchair. He was a Winter Soldier. He was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Jim Rash is in Civil War. He played the Dean. He was a stagehand for Tony. Yeah. He was trying to get tickets or something.
No Chevy Chase, though, eh?
No Chevy Chase.
No Chevy Chase.
There's
no Donald Glover.
Nah,
he
Donald
was.
Glover
Actually,
was in
sorry.
Homecoming.
You're right. He was in Homecoming.
He plays uncle to Miles Morales.
It just wasn't a Russo brothers production.
No, but
that's all.
Squeezed in.
I counted
that's
fine.
it.
It's fine.
Also, Brie Larson. She had a cameo in Community. Funny
enough,
no way. Right? She
played
Abed's quirky lover. She's obviously in Captain Marvel. Walton Goggins. He was the executor of Hawthorne Pierce, who's Chevy Chase's will in one episode. He's one of the main villains in Ant-Man 2. Yvette Nicole Brown and Ken Jeong make it into Endgame. Yvette is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Ken Jeong, yeah.
Who kind of calls out that Cap and Tony don't belong here.
Okay, right. Yeah,
she's the one giving the evil eye in the elevator.
I saw the two over there. One had a hippie beard.
He's a beatnik. Yeah. And Ken Jeong is the security guard in your favorite scene, the rat releasing Ant-Man.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It's good, man.
It is what it is. I don't care enough to I thought it was a little hokey, but
would you call that a missed opportunity?
They could have done a different thing, but I mean, it's New York. No, it wasn't. It was San Francisco. I was gonna say there's rats in New York. No, it's San Francisco.
There's rats everywhere.
I hate it.
So if we're moving
on,
there's a lot of hate there.
Yeah.
If we're talking about missed opportunities, there is definitely a glaring one. Captain Marvel. She literally bookends this film, and she services as kind of a MacGuffin. She shows up when her power set is needed.
She does show up, and what I am glad about is that when she does square off with Thanos,
right,
which was fucking cool, isn't as one-sided as I thought they could make it,
right?
Which is nice. Like she comes in.
Thanos has a lot of face-offs, actually.
Yeah, he does, but he dashes her. He dashes like, oh, that's the end of it, really? And then she's not. No, I'm right back. And then they have the headbutt, and then he fucking does that wicked move where he takes the Power Stone out of the.
Right. And then bodies her, which is very smart.
I was like, that makes sense. That was sweet because she's not that weak. Neither is he.
She got a cool new haircut.
She got a great right from the comics.
But again, you didn't get enough of her in this movie. And coming off of Captain Marvel, the original movie, we thought we were gonna get.
I thought it was gonna get more. Yeah.
Of her, clearly based on the scheduling and the filming of the movies.
She did shoot this before Captain Marvel, right?
We now understand why we wouldn't have got that, but. I definitely hope we get a lot of her moving forward now that there's kind of no Avengers left, or like the B Squad.
We'll
get to there.
How dope was it about seeing the big three?
We're not at highlights yet. We're still at missed opportunities. Mine is, how strong is Thanos really?
Yeah, he's a beast.
So they fought him in a previous movie with a gauntlet, and it took, let's say, 5 of them to kind of slow him down. This, he has no gauntlet initially and is still holding his own against the big three.
Yeah.
With all of their power sets. So I don't know if they understand how strong this character is.
But he has armor in this one.
You are correct, sir. But just give me an understanding. That's really what I want to know. Like, because earlier in the movie he gets his head sliced off too, right? Like,
yeah.
He
was essentially he was weakened there, but yeah.
Based on that, though, he could have bodied a couple of those guys if he wanted to.
If he wanted to, but he didn't want to anymore. His destiny was fulfilled. Here's the thing with Thanos is he is technically, and a lot of people know this, but he's technically an Eternal. Okay. So his look, why he doesn't look like an Eternal, because he has I think it's called the Deviant. So he has a disease that is unique to Eternals that give them that look. And they're basically cast out and not welcomed into the Eternals world. So he is essentially an Eternal. So he's a god. Fucking powerful.
You're saying he's a god?
Ish.
2 next side.
Yeah.
1 next level.
Yeah. So like he's on like the same. He's on a similar Thor type thing with lightning powers.
Thor is god though.
Yeah. But Thor's an alien. Thanos is also
an alien.
Yeah.
Everyone's an alien.
He's an Eternal, right? Well, no. Thor is a. We call him a god because he's based off the Norse mythology. I say we, like we're part of the universe, but they call him a god because but he's actually an alien. He's like Superman, like an alien in that sense. It's just his
but better
whole thing is based off of mythology that we have. Yeah.
All right, you're talking too much about Thanos.
Yeah, so he's fucking strong.
Fair enough. I would like to know.
You are right though about how
there it is.
The whole team in Infinity War is.
There it is.
You know,
that's what I want.
It seems like he's more powerful in this one than he was in Infinity War.
Yes, which doesn't make sense if you have more power.
If you want to break it down, yeah,
you have more. That's where we're at now.
Yeah, because in this one he has no stones.
And again, this is
on
not
Titan. He has what 3, 4? On Titan he has not all of them.
At least 4.
3 or 4. I don't remember. Yeah.
And then he gets the 5th one, which is time.
Right.
Again, this is nothing that I'm like, this movie was terrible because of these things. This is just shit that, hey, we've seen this movie a few times now. We love it that much that, hey, what's going on here? And as much as I give love to direction and how things go on, the CGI funeral pan was kind of...
Yeah, you didn't like that one yet.
It took me out of it. I get it, but I would like to hope there's an easier way of doing it or a better way of doing it or actually doing it because it wasn't what I initially thought, which was you gathered all these celebs.
So
here.
they threw it
Marissa
in
Tomei. We forgot to throw her.
Oh yeah,
she's
Marissa
in there.
Tomei, yeah.
Didn't say anything, but she gave a nice little. She still looks good.
She's great. You see the meme about Aunt May Benjamin buttoning all the Spider-Man reboots? Yeah.
She's gonna be a hot blonde by the time they reboot again.
Oh yeah.
Where's Coulson?
You're right. He wasn't in this, was he?
He was not.
Yeah, you're right.
And if you CGI rubber faced everyone, you can CGI rubber face someone on Coulson or Coulson on someone.
Yeah.
Right. Also, I don't know where you would have given it to me, but Shield moving forward, because clearly Shield still exists to some extent.
It does, but
it's a line of dialogue with Romanoff talking to a Shield agent operative.
Right.
She could talk to Maria Hill, who didn't talk again in this film.
No.
But
as soon as
after the snap, she would have been gone.
I don't know if it counts towards Hollywood as well, when they're this big actors. But when actors don't talk,
right,
they don't speak. They're actually cheaper. They're not considered actors. They're considered extras.
Ooh.
So it is cheaper. So a lot of these guys and girls just not talking could be a way to save a buck. There's that too.
Allow me to add that to another reason why I like the Russo brothers as their direction, because I don't know if we would have got as many of cameos if they were talking.
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer is pricey.
Yeah, I could imagine Michael Douglas is pricey.
He spoke.
Oh, he did speak.
Yeah,
son of a bitch.
You paid for Michael Douglas.
Okay.
Which is the one you need to pay for.
I'm a Michael Douglas.
You got to pay for pin particles. You paid for Jarvis too. You got to pay for Jarvis. You want that voice. For me, this is completely personal and super geeky, but there's a moment when they're all on this pad to transform or to travel back in time to start the whole time heist. They're all in these crazy spacesuits, and the fact that when the spacesuits show up the helmets, the CGI faces on them look kind of jarring and it's weird. You notice that a lot when they're doing the Ant-Man scene and he comes back as an old man and a young, he's a young boy but still as tall as Ant-Man. Nobody says, again, this is me looking for things. Yeah. But the one thing I want is, why didn't they all have crazy cool ass personalized helmets, right?
Yeah, like hockey goalies, yeah.
Well, why not? War Machine gets his own helmet. Ant-Man gets his original helmet when they're going back. Tony inevitably goes back into his Iron Man suit, but uses the default helmet. But we could have got the crazy old school Thor helmet in that we got in Ragnarok. We could have got who else? Hawkeye.
Ant-Man.
Hawkeye. Well, we could have got his old one, but he still had the helmet, right? So he was still special. Hawkeye could have got his old, his purple suit. Hooded with a that would have been fucking why not, right? You're just paying a Captain America could have got some little tiny wings with an A on it.
I guess the argument would be they were designed one way and that was it, because there were the nano things that kind of over your head.
You don't have to justify.
I'm not.
It.
I'm just saying
this is just a cool thing you could have paid off.
No, you're right. Fan service.
Why not? You fan serviced everything else. You found a way to squeeze Howard the Duck in here. Clearly, fan service. And my last kind of missed opportunity is I want a Red Skull Mortal Kombat Vormir level, because that looked fucking amazing, and I want to see Goro fight against the Shang Tsung. In that world with a Red Skull in the back, just yes, more blood.
That's dope idea. Yeah,
it looks cool, right?
Yeah. As for me, we already know the rat thing. These are all minor gripes, dude. The rat thing.
You didn't like the rat?
No, I didn't like the rat thing.
He's my favorite character.
They came up with time travel really quickly. That was.
Well,
that was kind of...
To Ant-Man's credit, he had spent 5 hours thinking about it.
Right, and they introduced something new to Tony, but it was Tony was I got it.
And to Tony's credit, he's one of the most brilliant philanthropists, genius, billionaire, warmongers, villains of the MCU.
They were moving the plot along, but I was kind of
How convenient.
That was quick.
Just time travel will solve everything.
One last thing too. It's not many. Just this one last thing. The final battle, right when Thanos shows up, I thought that would be so much cooler if the Avengers building was still standing, and they were fighting through it.
Ah, okay.
Right. It wasn't just like a wasteland of.
Your minor gripe isn't that all these people survived a mass exodus explosion of.
Oh, it's ridiculous. They all survived.
They all survived. I mean, it took me a second watch to see that Ant-Man shrunk down.
Oh, did he actually shrink?
Yeah.
Before it happened?
But he caught a lot of that blast.
Because
as tiny. Yeah. He was right in the window. It's like, hey, guys.
He was like, oh, whoops.
But he shrinks. But, like, that doesn't excuse, like, Rocket, War Machine. Well, War Machine kind of. Like, Thor. I mean, the Hulk kind of. But Hawkeye should be dead.
But how cool would it be to actually watch them, like, fight through the building and like, having them blow through walls and stuff, and then kind of gradually become broken down rather than just
take it down.
Wasteland of metal and brown.
To the director's credit, it had been 2.5 hours to that point.
Let's just fucking get it going.
Let's go.
Let's get it going,
Let's go
boys.
to the big one. Let's give them 30 minutes.
Let's get it going, boys. That's really all I cared about. That was kind of like,
Well, let's look at the other side of the coin. You want to talk about highlights? Other than, obviously, this entire movie that we clearly will spend too much money seeing.
How much time
again
you got?
and again and again. How much time do you have? You're rolling.
Well, the highlights. We've actually touched on a whole bunch of them already, right?
Yeah. Into more detail, we love Giant Man because Giant Man fucking. He got to punch the
Bam!
and you know what he would have done during the Battle of New York? He would have been just punching fucking those giant snake machine, whatever their names are. Did a lot of research. Hill Hydra was definitely a highlight for me because it just showed the growth of Cap America. Like any other day, you'd be like, I could do this all day.
Yeah.
But it's like, I know you guys. Hail Hydra. Give me the fucking staff.
If we're talking about just funny bits too, the part that really made me, I was kind of
anything was a highlight.
Well, no, but I was confused at first. But I started laughing was when Hulk tried to do the fake rage in 2012.
Oh, okay. And he's like, I think this is gratuitous. Actually, and he rips off his shirt, and, like just puts a little dent into the taxi cab, and chucks the motorcycle.
Because the rage is just gone from now. He doesn't have. It's gone.
To contrast that, I did love I don't like taking stairs, like Hulk not wanting to take stairs and that paying off in the end.
Where everything was connected.
Everything paid off. The relay gauntlet race.
That was great.
Where it starts with Hawkeye initially, then goes to T'Challa, who calls him Clint this time instead of I don't care what your name is. Which
also,
was a payoff to Civil War.
A fun little thing when T'Challa got it, I got a little excited because in the Secret Wars 2 comic book, he puts it on. And he actually saves
that day.
Yeah, he saves everything by putting it on. I was like, oh, is he gonna? I was like, no.
From T'Challa to Spider-Man, who goes into
kill mode for a while.
Who goes into kill mode, which is a payoff to Homecoming.
And the Iron Man, the Iron Spider suit. Arms come out.
Correct.
And start going to town.
And then Spider-Man, again, he gets to almost hold the hammer, where he uses it to propel himself out of a bad situation. Thanks to Captain America, who steals a move out of Thor's playbook, which is amazing. Like, this entire scene was just callback. Spider-Man to Captain Marvel, which is their first meeting, and him being like, I don't know if you could handle this. Yeah. Which that turns into, I guess, is that when we get the A-Force payoff? Oh, no. Sorry. Another highlight for me is Thanos 101. So you touched on Thanos versus Captain Marvel, but Thanos versus Scarlet Witch was fucking amazing because she almost won off of that.
So we talk about claps. That was one of the big claps when I was surprised by that.
What do you mean collapse?
In the theater.
Oh, claps. Like
applause.
I thought you said collapse. No, I was like, what fell apart?
She's like... She shows up and everybody's like, "Oh, it's going down."
The first line of "You've taken so much from me."
I don't even know who you are.
I was like, "Yeah, you're gonna get dummied," and he did.
And he did
to the point that he's like, "Fire everything." He's like, "What about our troops? I don't care."
Rain fire. Yeah,
that's a good strategic move on his part.
But I do like that she's getting better with her powers because as anybody who reads the comic knows, she's a fucking force to be reckoned with.
We didn't go into Thanos versus the Big Three.
The scrap with just him and Cap.
That's what I was gonna. We're getting there. So initially, that whole fight starts out of Tony, Steve, and Thor just
and I was like, yes,
because they had these amazing cinematic kind of landscape moments where you could see either it was Captain against the entire army or the big three looking at Thanos.
What is he doing? Just sitting there.
Just sitting there. It's like, and they know what they have to do. Hulk does his. Thor does his thunder
lightning?
thing.
Yeah.
And he changes from a fat slob into Thor.
And his beard gets braided.
And then pulled back.
Yeah.
And then the lightning flickers, and then you just see them slow walk and take different paths. That was what I paid for.
It has to be the big three.
I'm so glad that scene was not in a trailer.
Oh my god, that would
imagine, because
it would have been a Justice League trailer.
any other movie house trailer would be like, we gotta show them the ending.
No.
Look at your three favorite characters walk up and fight Doomsday. Oh, it's not Doomsday. It's I was gonna say Apocalypse. It's Thanos. But that first fight when all three of them go at him, I fucking loved it because they're throwing everything.
Yeah.
They're everything at him. There's a moment where Tony tells Thor, "Light me up," and he shoots his thunder straight into his back. And then he uses that to fire a beam onto Thanos. That was amazing. The entire final.
I was just sitting there at my job and like, here they go. But yeah, even when and then Cap lifts the hammer, that was huge. But just him one-on-one with Thanos.
Oh,
it was reminiscent.
Thanos breaking the shield.
Yeah,
which is the vision that Tony had
way back
in a previous movie.
I think broken shield. No, it was Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron. Yeah. Avengers 2. Yeah.
That happens in the comics too. Crack. Like it's just comic book reference after comic book reference, and it's so good.
So the comic book nerd and you guys would be like, that was in the comic. Let me tell my podcast.
If whoever was sitting next to him, like, that was in the comic too. And that was in the comic, and so was that.
Are you talking about your wife?
Yes. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, no, just the fight between the two of them was, I think, because back when in Infinity War, Tony had that great fight with Thanos.
Right.
He got dummy. Now this one was Cap, and it's like, I'm like, yes, give me some, and he got dummy too, but the big three is where it's at, man.
Yeah, I hate to leave the final act, but if we're just talking about highlights, I have to go back to selfie Professor Hulk, who was taking selfie with the kids that made me laugh so hard. And then the whole playing off with Ant-Man, like, do you want a picture of me? I'm Ant-Man. He's like, no, take a picture with him. They're like, we don't know him. He's like, they don't want a picture with me. Like, and him just getting offended.
He's actually shaking his head no.
he doesn't want a picture with me. He's like, it's all right. And then Professor Hulk being like, oh yeah, listen to your mom. She knows. I was like,
stupid dab.
Amazing. And then I did like Ant-Man saying, I'm going to enter you now. And that's America's ass.
Yeah, America's ass. Yeah.
He started that. And then not knowing what to call him. Steve, Captain. Rogers, America. That and the little moments, to be honest, a lot of little moments between Cap and Tony. If it wasn't like when they because in the beginning of the movie they're still adversaries. When Cap shows up to the cabin, they're friendly and cordial, but they're still on opposite spectrums. Yeah. When Tony shows up at Avengers facility, then they're playful again, and he talks about, hey, I made you a new shield. Yeah. Don't tell anybody else. I only made one. Yeah. And then back in time, they're like, when they figure out how they fuck up, and then they figure out they have to go back further in time to the 1970s, and they talk about, are you sure? Like, are we going to this year in the 1970s?
Yeah, we're going to this one. Moment. Yeah.
And then even when they're in the 1970s, and Cap finishes his side mission, and he's looking at Tony, and Tony's like, it's in the bag. Yeah. Loved all those little moments finally paid off.
They did.
How long these two have been in each other's lives.
And I don't know if we've mentioned comic book references yet. Probably maybe once.
I think we dropped one.
So a lot of those
because Avengers is based on a comic book.
Fuck off. Is it really?
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's not as successful as Justice League.
Yeah. No, especially not the movies.
Well,
I love the comic book references, and
really
those. How many times have I said that? Those we're talking about. Those are highlights to me in themselves. Like Morgan Stark.
Yes.
That name alone. It's in the comics is his cousin.
Yeah, correct. Who goes after he's
he's not good.
Yeah.
He's not good. This one they made his daughter, which I thought was really cool because that could possibly pave something for the future. I guess we'll see what they do with that.
Another payoff to Iron Man 3 where Pepper Potts puts on the suit. We're like, oh, so we're going to get Rescue?
I was getting to that.
And then,
it's technically not Rescue because Rescue didn't have weapons, but it is Rescue because fuck it. It's the MCU, right?
Push up your nerd glasses there.
I'm not wearing glasses. It's called a monocle.
Fair enough.
But no.
Why'd you push it up?
Damn it. You told me to.
Rescue was great.
Rescue is awesome. Captain Falcon at the very ending.
Captain Falcon was great.
That was big because I was actually hoping.
Payoff to the comic.
I was actually like in the universe, in the world that we're in, it makes much more sense, in my opinion, that he gets the shield, not Bucky. I know everybody wants Bucky to get the shield next.
But
no, he doesn't work.
Bucky's a murderer. Still.
He's a fucking Russian spy.
Murderer, yeah.
You're gonna give that to
No.
Sam is much better choice, and I'm glad that's how it went.
Sam is
all American.
Well, he served his country.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
a soldier.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He's part of that military.
And this is what we're talking about with the passionate fan thing. Like in the comics, Bucky got it first, and then it doesn't matter. Okay, in this universe, it doesn't. In my opinion, Russian spy doesn't make sense too, or an ex-Russian spy.
Unless you're doing that movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we're not. If you're talking about a beacon of hope, which Captain America is supposed to be, keep it with that. I mean, I don't know why you'd want a shield if you have murderous. Wings, because it's the first time I see Red Falcon do
dope, yeah.
the double kills. I was like, good lord!
I was sitting there like, oh, it's the first time I've seen that.
Yeah. So like the you hear on your right where fucking on your excuse me
on your left
where Steve Rogers beat up and he doesn't know if he can carry on, but he gets up anyway to fight Thanos again after Thanos has revealed that he brought not only his previous troops from Infinity Wars, but the I want to say Jabari again.
The Chitauri?
The Chitauri, and all other like references because there's other
Outriders. Those are Outriders, the guys with the 4 legs.
Yeah, there you go. To come, kind of kill the last hope of man, and you hear
on your left,
right, and then the sphere opens.
Which how jacked up did you like? I could feel my chest. I was like, here they come.
Yeah. So this is where we got a audio like reaction of everyone's like, you see Black Panther.
Because he comes first, yeah.
Black Panther,
Okoye
and his sister Shuri
yeah.
walk through and they get everyone's like, woo, yeah, she brought the Panther gauntlets, and then Red Falcon flies through and nobody does anything, and so I'm like, oh, come on.
That's your next captain.
Yeah. Well, we don't know this yet.
So in my theater,
but then he redeems when he does the double stabbing.
Yeah, in my theater when Spider-Man swung out, that was a big one. I can't remember who he was in with. Someone came up before him and then he swung behind them.
This is another reason why you don't want Bucky as your Captain America. To show up to an alien fight, he brought bullets.
Yeah.
He brought a fucking automatic weapon.
Yeah.
What does he do when the bullets run out?
Yeah.
Everyone else has something like lasers or like some sort of Wakandan weapon or like superpowers. You showed up with a gun.
One thing that sold it for me too, was like huge fan service. Just I have no ties to like the Asgardians and stuff, but Valkyrie on the Pegasus.
That was great.
I was like, this is so dorky. This is perfect.
Then I forgot to mention that Spider-Man gets to ride as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of payoffs for Spider-Man getting to meet different people in this universe because clearly he might be the shining star to carry them into the next phase.
Him, Captain Marvel, and Black Panther are the ones that are gonna project
that they're set up for.
Yeah.
We'll get into what we think later, but don't forget that now War Machine, Professor Hulk, and I want to say Hawkeye / Red Falcon are also very well set up to
yes, absolutely, yeah,
move forward as well.
Yeah. Or the ones are set up, but there's the flagship will be
Rescue.
The 3 I mentioned, yeah, hey,
because we didn't talk about it, but we got a very nice A-Force reference there.
Loved it. I loved it.
Where each woman from each different Marvel property all come together and walk a nice path down to show that they are strong, and I'm all for it, but I'm pretty sure all of them were fighting alongside with whatever their counterpart was, so they all just left their post to do this like I am empowered woman. So I don't know if like Black Panther's getting bodied because his crew just went over here.
I can't remember who it starts with either, but it's like, look at a bunch of broads over there. Let's go join them.
Here's what I knew was going to be a moment, because Rescue lands,
yeah,
and her helmet came off, so you could see Pepper Potts. I was like, wait a minute, and then Gamora gets into the shot, Valkyrie gets into the shot, Shuri gets into the shot, and it's great. Mantis gets in there. It's like, Mantis, you know the fight. Fair enough.
What are you doing?
They're giving you a nice taste of what A-Force could be. Unfortunately, without Black Widow, but
yeah, who, to be fair, died in the comics too.
Who hasn't died in the comics?
Wow. I'll tell you. No, actually, I don't know. They all die. They all come back.
But the final scene was definitely. If you're talking about a love letter to fans, this is it.
Oh, it was amazing.
You don't have to give me. You don't have to give me 2/3 of this movie and give me that. And I'm like,
that.
it was the greatest movie. It was the greatest fight ever. I'm at least saying that.
Yeah.
I'm at least saying that.
The greatest fight I've ever seen.
He picked up the hammer. Oh, and then the moment where Thor has his hammer and
they switch it.
Yeah, and Captain America has
Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker. He's like, no, you take the little one.
He has to throw that in. No, okay, we'll trade. Yeah, you take the little one.
That's what it is. Big raging fire. Amazing, right? And then even Wasp has a nice little payout moment where she helps Ant-Man get to the last time machine.
The sly wink.
Wink. Wink.
And away they go.
And flies off. I mean, everyone was, other than Doctor Strange, who just holds up a wave, everyone is very much used in the final battle.
Yeah.
And then makes eye contact with Tony.
And does this, the one symbol.
The one thing. Well, Tony asks, like, is this the last?
If I tell you, it won't happen.
Which is true.
Well, then that means he's gonna die.
Given this, it does.
Sure enough.
And if we're gonna talk about Tony, let's talk about Tony, because we've mentioned briefly that obviously he's a big three. He's had seminal moments in this movie and throughout the course of these 11 years. But the way that they framed his character in this movie is so heartfelt.
Yeah.
Which is so out of character for
Tony. Yeah.
For Tony and his arc. Initially, he doesn't want to. He's the only one that moves on with life.
Yeah.
After the Thanos snap, he manages to find peace and love with Pepper, and now creates a daughter. So he has a new legacy and something new to live for that isn't Avengers related.
Which is completely understandable why he doesn't want anything to do with it at the beginning.
And completely out of character with his ego, because he's all about Avengers and being Iron Man and
being the best. And
right, for as million times as Pepper asked him to walk away, he said yes, but secretly had just kept doing shit on his own anyway. It's Morgan that is the real anchor to keep him to just being dad. But it's also that feeling of fatherhood that brings him back, because he discovers a picture of him and Peter, who I believe acts as a surrogate son.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
A few films.
He feels responsible for Peter. Well, he brought him into.
He brought him in, correct.
And now he's
and he elevated him to a level that clearly he wasn't ready for, and he lost him.
Yeah. So he feels responsible, and
so that's the motivation to at least solve the time travel theory, which he does, and then inevitably join the Avengers for this insane time heist. But that's not it for this father kind of stance that he gets when he goes back to the 1970s. He comes face to face with his father and gets a conversation that he never thought he would get. We were saying that Thor gets this.
Oh, we talked about this, yeah.
So it's funny. Thor gets to talk to his mother. Tony gets to talk to his father, and Steve gets to talk to himself.
Yeah, yeah.
Along with, I guess, would be his brother. Brothers, being what are their real names or in kayfabe names? Bucky and
and Sam. Oh, okay, yeah.
So there's a lot of kind of family dynamics there.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
talked about Hawkeye and Romanoff being brother-sister relationship.
Those are his two homeboys. Yeah, those are like.
But going back to Tony, kind of getting
his old best friend, his new best friend.
Fair enough. Oh yeah. Tony getting the final closure on who his father was and is before he enters the world, because there's a moment where he says, "There's nothing I would do. This kid's not even here yet. And there's nothing I wouldn't even do for him."
Yeah.
For Tony, that kind of solidifies what he's doing for his kid and his pseudo kid.
Now here's the interesting twist to that.
He's a villain.
No, here I go again within the comics.
Right.
In the comics, Tony is adopted. So the kid he could be talking about, if they're following that same trajectory from the books, would be Arno Stark, who ends up in the wheelchair. Yeah.
There's a moment where Howard says, like, "Oh, she's 6 months along," or whatever.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, already?"
Like, wait,
yeah. So that's what clued me in, because it's like, if he understands that that's not really his birthday, then they could be actually opening that door to Tony's brother.
Right. Well,
which is
That's another take on it.
Yeah,
I like to,
but that one line
changes the whole
right?
dynamic of that conversation.
Yeah,
Even still, Tony still gets some sort of completeness and happiness
absolutely,
moment
yeah,
of talking to his father at this seminal moment in his life. So it's nice that it gets bookend with all these type of fatherly moments, and then he gets to be the father of all of them with I Am Iron Man.
Yeah. Amazing send off for him.
And
Amazing
then
send off for him.
in Poetic Justice, everything fades out bad into dust, as opposed to the good guys, the heroes, fading into dust.
Now, if we're talking about things that kind of, so the movie's amazing, first and foremost. But one thing that struck me is when that all does happen, the new Gamora they brought back, shouldn't she technically get faded with the rest of Thanos' army?
We would assume that she had a change of heart when she brought old Nebula to confront new Nebula, who was taking the gauntlet from Hawkeye.
Right. So, and in that case, because we don't really know what Tony thought of, he could just say get rid of his forces.
Right.
She'd be included in that unless there's a technicality that she's switched. Like it's kind of a gray area for me. That's kind of
Nebula would be gone too.
Yes.
Technically.
No. Actually, the Nebula that came with them was dead.
Dead.
So the new Nebula doesn't count.
Time understands this.
That's the thing. I don't know.
How detailed is the snap that you're making?
I don't know. We said we weren't going to get into time travel rules, but that's kind of something that I thought of.
Well, fair enough.
Because you don't see Gamora after that either, right? So it's kind of like...
We can talk open threads now. I mean, we kind of wrapped up the movie. That's one of them. There's several open threads going on in this movie that either makes you, as a fan, very excited for the future or very unsure of what's to come. Case in point, Captain American Falcon.
Captain Falcon, yeah, that's awesome. He's got his own show coming out with Bucky. Right, on the Disney Plus. So
there's your tie-in.
There's a tie-in. So they're going to be together a bit longer. Right. I don't know how many episodes it is or even what it's about, but I assume it's something to do with
if S.H.I.E.L.D.'s got any attachment to that. We don't know.
But I'm assuming that Sam has the shield in this. Assuming.
Right.
So maybe they're like a tag team Captain America type thing.
And maybe a new costume too. I hope they will get some American.
He's got a cool costume.
Yeah, he does.
For the...
Oh, I remember that comic book.
Yeah, he's got a cool one.
If we're talking about another loose end that disappeared very nicely into their own show, that would also be Loki.
Perfectly placed to have his own adventures.
And he was kind of the only one that realized that case was moving the way.
Yeah, he was like, "What?
Wait a minute, that doesn't happen there." So he kind of like could see. I don't know if he saw Ant-Man, but knew something was up.
Something's going on, and then he just opportunistic
picked it up and disappeared.
I'm out.
So wherever he goes, he goes. A missed opportunity was we don't know what's going on with Vision, but we do know that Vision and Wanda are getting a show.
Yeah, WandaVision. Yeah.
So I don't know how they're bringing him back.
He's an android, so I assume it's a little less complicated than bringing back somebody from.
We will see.
The dead, but we'll see.
We will see what they decide to do there. Professor Hulk, only good things can come. We're hoping that he finally gets his own movie.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing not to see him smash things around in the ending.
But that's right.
But
that's there with him. He was smashing things, but not to the level of Giant Man or everybody else.
I guess. Hulk versus Thanos again, right? Because remember he got dummied in the first.
He knows he can't. He's not at that level. What's gonna happen with War Machine and Rescue?
That's cool too, because those are open ended. War Machine is rescued. If they want to do a time jump, for whatever reason, with Morgan, I'm calling her Margot. With Morgan,
Robbie.
There is Iron Heart comic book.
Right.
She's not the one, obviously, but it's a female.
And the one payoff to the end credit scene we didn't get was the sound of a hammer hitting the anvil, which we got initially from the Iron Man original movie.
Right.
So we don't know in what capacity that's going to be. Also, Happy's back too, so we don't know if Happy's going to kind of be a part of that new Iron world that they're building.
The armor war, they could do anything.
They can do a lot. There's a whole bunch, and then if you tap into sentient beings again, that opens more doors. There was a brief line talking about earthquake problem underneath the ocean. And in my mind of minds,
I see where you're going with that.
I hoped an underwater man in a Speedo was.
I didn't think of that at the time, but yeah, that's.
I've had time to process and think.
Namor.
Namor, we can finally add in there.
We've been asking about him. Wow.
I also can I have Doom now?
Yeah, he's got.
It's literally a question. Can I have Doom
seriously.
now?
Yeah, Doom's got to come in.
He's definitely.
He has to, because where do you go from here?
Well, if you're
there's lots of places you can go, but
if you're talking about an arms race now that the Stark company is now without their CEO,
I think
him and Hammer. going after
Osborn too.
I mean, there's a lot more money to be made now that Stark isn't the one spearheading a lot of things.
Yep.
What does this Hulk snap mean? Does that mean that X-Men are back in this universe?
Well, X-Men were never in the universe.
Fair enough, but the snap is a very easy way to say, yeah, they were.
They could. I mean, you could easily do. You could also just do. Oh, it's starting now. It doesn't have to be.
I'm giving it. There's
a birth. Yeah.
A very easy way to introduce characters that we were all questioning how you could get them in, based on the whole rule. Like, this is a restart. The first snap was a restart, so we don't know what that trickles down to, and and it was a big snap. So,
yeah. It was a big snap, and now he's messed up, right? So Hulk's got the one
arm,
one bum arm.
You think he's gonna
right?
get a Bucky arm?
I don't know what they're gonna. I honestly do not know what they're gonna do with him. That's a weird one.
It is.
Because it's pretty, like, you can see Thor now. He's joined up with the Asgardians of the Galaxy.
Correct. So
right? Which is cool.
I hope that's a Phase 4 project because
Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is coming. So now
but we don't know what it is.
No, we have no idea.
We do know that Taika Waititi had pitched his Thor 4 movie to MCU.
That. Yeah.
We don't know what it is, but we know something's out there. And if he had any type of influence on what Thor looks like now, just him where he wants to go, if he's just this traveling dude type of guy,
I'm down with it.
I'm all for it.
Because you could do a Thor and Captain Marvel team up.
You could do it.
We've proven
who you can do team ups with. I think we're good. Black Panther.
We know he's gonna get sequel.
So if we're talking about Phase 4, this is the end of Phase 3. Congratulations, you did a very decent job.
Well, Far From Home is supposed to bookend it, kind of like Ant-Man did with Phase 2. But
how many ripples do you think are gonna come to Spider-Man's world? If
From
any?
all this, the high school dilemma where the kids are different ages, that'll happen.
Fair enough. That's all you need.
That's all.
You don't need much.
You don't need much else
because you have Spider-Man to do small stories.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta shrink it down a bit.
For everyone has to go back down to basics, and that's what you kind of got a splash of when they were doing the wrap-up scenes. Like, T'Challa goes back home. There's a celebration in Wakanda. That's what we're expecting for Black Panther 2. We want to go back to this world. I would love to see Ulysses Claw return somehow in his onesie with the sonar arm.
Yeah, he was great.
If not, you have a pantheon of villains that you can introduce. Doctor Strange. I'm more excited to see a Doctor Strange
sequel
because of all the Doctor Strange magic he did in the last 2 Avengers movie, which was more than in the first Doctor Strange movie.
I really hope they get weird with Doctor Strange.
Yeah, just go completely psychedelic.
Because you just took comic book pages for this battle, right out of the books. Giant Man, Pegasus, aliens,
and we still have Mordo.
Go weird, and everybody ate it up.
And we still have Mordo out there. Yeah. Right, so Dormammu in a time loop.
Yep.
Dormammu, I'm here. What's the line?
Fudge.
Dormammu. I've come
for a bargain or something.
Dormammu. Captain America. Old Man America.
You can follow him. You can have Sam doing his thing and maybe going.
Now, I made the reference to you, but when honestly, I think the makeup was great for Steve looking like an old man.
Oh, it was great. It looked really good.
But he definitely reminded me of Jeff Dunham's Walter.
The
Stat Boy, if you're still working for us, throw up a picture. If not, look up Walter and tell me that doesn't look like a begrudgingly old Steve Rogers. With the little eyes.
Yeah.
Actually, Sam, I don't think I will.
No, that could be. I'm really excited to see what they do with Sam. Really excited because I liked him.
Fair enough, and Bucky, because you want to know how these guys are going to step into the role.
Well, Bucky's tied in for still a lot of movies.
Right. But we don't know on which sides or how you're going to play out. But he's in the space.
And Winter Soldier, he signed on for 9.
I mean,
so he's going to be around for a while.
At least cameos too. You can always just pop on. Rocket really loves him, so you can just do a whole fucking arc where he's trying to get his arm back from. Rocket.
I said in the Dream Teams, I want to see was it Dream Teams? I saw one of the past episodes. I love that Bucky and Rocket dynamic where they're just holding each other and shooting
guns. Yeah, they're both very NRA gun enthusiasts for
Loved
sure. And who knows what Captain America wants to do with S.H.I.E.L.D. moving forward. They're definitely looking for a director at this point.
Yep.
He could take an office job.
And Old Man Logan. Old Man Captain America. Old Man Steve did take over. So it's happened.
It happened in the comics.
Eternals is coming up. That's a weird one.
And we have a lot of weird things going on.
It could be they could reference Thanos in it. I don't know if I really want them to.
What I do like what they've reinvented for Guardians of the Galaxy. Gamora does not remember anything that she loves about Quill,
which is cool,
which is amazing, and Quill still remembers all this life about them. So
he's got to win her over again.
So Nebula is officially part of the Guardians now, and Gamora is kind of missing at the end of the movie. It looks like Quill is looking to find her because she just kind of sidles her way off and finds a ship and flies off.
Yeah.
So this is a new type of structure dynamic of we have a team, but it's not whole yet.
No.
And now we have this space pirate who they should fight by knives to see who should be. That whole trade-off was amazing too. Yeah. They need to find a way to keep.
Were you happy with your amount of Drax in this one?
He didn't do anything.
He didn't do it. He stabbed someone in the back.
He had a good but I get it.
I know you're a big Drax guy.
I am. I'm a big Guardians guy.
Yes, you are.
The end.
Did you get enough Quill?
Quill's the last one I wanted too.
Okay.
Although
did you get enough Gamora?
Listen,
I love Rocket.
I love Gamora. Gamora looked great, and she had. It's great to see her back when we initially thought she was gone and for good. After Soul and Trade. We got another dynamic of Quill of how much of an idiot it is, and we got to see her through Nebula's eyes, which is amazing. So the more Nebula I got, the better I feel it's for the Guardians of the Galaxy moving forward. Because, Rocket misses them all. Drax, Quill, Gamora, the lady with the antenna.
Yeah,
that got a big laugh in the audience. They love that one.
He's trying to sell it. The lady with the antennas.
The lady with the antenna. So it's crazy. Phase 3 complete.
Yeah.
Phase 4.
Phase 4, brand new. Starting from scratch.
Hey, I would love a movie where they just show Captain America going back, returning all the stones, right? Because he has to do that at the end of the movie.
Not to mention that in Vormir.
Wait a minute.
Red Skull's the Guardian there.
How do you return a Soul Stone?
And what would happen if Cap
meets Red Skull?
Nobody cares.
Keep 666.
What time is it?
666.
So you know what time it is?
It's 6 o'clock.
You know what that means?
It's time to keep 6.
I don't know what that means.
That means you're supposed to look out.
For what are we looking out for?
For an amazing movie.
This movie, if you haven't seen it, it's time to see it.
It is the biggest hidden gem.
Is it even hidden?
It's a hidden gem.
All right.
It's called Endgame.
Go see Avengers
Endgame. Go see it.
Go see it.
Why are you listening to this? Go see it.
You're still listening? Thank you.
Go see it again.
A couple more times.
666.